Let the show continue with our next panel discussion. Expert Talk, capitalizing on the personalization to maximize fan engagement. Now, please forgive me if I don't get the name pronunciation right, but I'm trying. Okay, running our panel discussion, Nucu Antohi, come on up, my man. Director of the Romanian Center for Sport and Educational Studies. Then we have Yacine Sahnoune from France, founder of Smart Replay. Pablo Pintado from Spain, business development, countries at Blinkfire Analytics. We have Galit Shiri from Israel, director of marketing and business development at WSC Sports Technologies. Ehsen Shah from the UK, managing director of Be Engaged. And last but not least, Dan Gramada from Romania. Hi, Romania. Senior Management Brand Partnerships and Licensing, Head of Ad Sales, Turkey, Discovery, Central and Eastern European, Mediterranean, and Central Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, I present panel discussion number 2. Nico, it's all you.
Thank you. Good day. Thank you very much for the invitation, me and my friends. They are experts in social video and revenue. So in this panel for the next hour, we're going to have some, it's very important to bring the fans on the stadium again and in the halls. And we're going to see what are the tools about this one. So please get introduced.
Hello everybody, it's good to be here. Bună dimineața, still. My name is Dan Gramada. I'm working for Discovery Communications. Eurosport is part of the Discovery family. I'm honored to be here this morning with such a nice audience and with the panel with such smart and young and cool people. I've been working in Discovery for 10 years now, and 2 years ago, or maybe a little bit more than 2 years, Eurosport joined our family, and it's been a passion since day one. Actually, the claim of Eurosport is fuel your passion. And for me, it's a very important thing to be here today. I would like to thank SBC, Kuzmin and Tutodora for inviting me here, because it's a moment where I can actually tell you a little bit more about what we're doing at Eurosport in order to connect to the audience and also to the professionals in the business like you are here today. So it's going to be fun, I hope.
So, good morning, good afternoon everyone, but I'm watching still on UK time, so it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you for coming and taking the time to listen to what we've got to say, and again, thank you guys for inviting us out here. My name is Ehsen Shah. I'm the Managing Director of an organisation called Be Engaged. I founded the company 4 years ago next month, leaving a brand side, so I was working in food brands, kind of campaigns and activations, moved over to player side. I'm now working with 16 football players across Premier League and La Liga and one in PSG. So we currently look after all the players, marketing, branding, profile enhancement and commercialization. The aspects I'm going to kind of give today is probably purely from player side, although we have 6 brands as clients and I'm going to solely focus on the player aspects of things just to give a bit of a balance to what everyone else will be speaking about.
Hi everyone, I'm Galit Shiri. I'm Director of Marketing and Business Development at WSC Sports. WSC Sports created this cool technology that helps media right holders maximize the use of their content. We have an AI-based platform that generates automatic real-time sports highlights by any parameter, creates the most customized and personalized content to each and every fan.
Thanks. Hello everybody, and thank you very much to the SBC for the invitation, so kind of you guys, and I'm real proud, real pleasure to be here with you guys, with the audience. Thank you very much for coming in and listening to us, because first of all I'm not an expert anymore. It's great to be here to discuss with you our insights that we, as in my position as business development in Blinkfire Analytics, we keep on discovering and observing from the different stakeholders in sports. Our company, similar to yours, We are also based on computer vision, artificial intelligence, and our main goal is to support right holders and brands in monitoring and evaluate the brand exposure driven in the different social media channels. Thank you very much, and look forward to your questions.
Hello everyone, I'm very thrilled to be here today. I'm Yacine Sahnoune, I'm the founder and CEO of Smart Replay, which is an interactive video technology that lets you rewatch matches directly by clicking on the actions you want to watch. We also boost and increase online merchandise sales for sports clubs thanks to contextualized products, contextualized advertising. So basically, if you're a fan, you're going to watch the match with interactivity, and you can buy the shirt worn by the player you're watching. So I have a little demo, if you can show the Smart Replay video, just for you to. Wow. So this is what we do. Okay. We help brands, sports brands and clubs engage with their audience more, and I'll be speaking more from a video and technology point of view today to give insights about video content and digital content strategy.
Okay, thank you very much. As you see, they are very intelligent and not artificial. I want to give them a big hand, I think, because it's the beginning. So, let's do the warm-up with a simple question. And I want to find from everyone, each of them, why we have to maximize fan engagement.
Continue like this? Well, sport is all about fans, right? This is what we do. Whether we are the broadcaster, or you're an athlete, or you're just simply enjoying sports. So, for Eurosport, engaging the fans is actually the priority number one. And we do that in several ways, but let's start from the beginning. The content is the first step. So what we're broadcasting actually on Eurosport. And I think in order to make it a little bit easier for everybody and to just get in the mood of the debate, I would actually ask the technical team to play a video with Eurosport. and I know that most of you know already that Eurosport is home of the Olympics, and it's been an incredible Olympics this year actually, the Winter Pyeongchang Olympics. Actually recently Eurosport just received 2 big prizes for 2 big awards for the way that it's been broadcasted, so Promax and another IBC award, which is a very honorable thing. I'm not going to go into details, I'm going to focus on 2 easy ways that I think expressing how we actually maximize the fan interaction works best. One of them is obviously the Olympics, and what we've done this year with the Olympics, actually we raised the bar, and we had a digital coverage. TV linear, of course, was very important. There were several studios all across the world and also on site, and the innovation comes from the way we approach it, also from the stats, from all sort of back to the scenes, from numbers and actually technical details that actually athletes are confronting on a daily basis whenever they are doing these sports, and actually we presented them to the world in an innovative and fun to watch way. So Olympics is one of the keys. The other one I would mention is our way to express sports to the big audience through our diversity of ways of reaching them. So of course linear through TV, but I would add everything which is digital nowadays. It's super important. I have I think multiple colleagues within the panel which are going to speak about that. Eurosport Player, which actually it's our own OTT platform that allows everybody to watch the sports, not only what you see on TV, but more than that. So more content, different angles, highlights, a lot of stuff which actually creates like the next screen for the people to enjoy watching your favorite sport. And last not least, there's actions we're doing often in order to link what we're doing with our fans. And one of these occasions we've done for Premier League, it was called Eu Commentator, I Commentator, where we actually organized the competition, and one of our biggest fans actually managed to become the winner of an experience provided by Eurosport. They were able to go to a Premier League stadium to experience what the commentators were actually doing, and actually we have I think also a few commentators in the room if I'm not mistaken, and also experience to live a live match on stadium. So that's the kind of things we're doing in order to keep our audience and our fans motivated. Ehsen?
Thank you very much.
So looking at it from a player's point of view, fan engagement, I guess, obviously without the fans they're not going to have followers, without followers they're not really going to have a profile, right? So that's the blatantly obvious. Diving into it, we look at fan engagement a bit differently with the players. So the industry as a whole looks at it as a whole. What we tend to do is, I'll go into it later on today, is we identify the passion points for the players. So if they have passion points based on certain industries, we're targeting those certain industries. So our sole objective is to get fan engagement within those industries and not as a general whole. The reason for that is when it comes down to commercialization of the player, they tend to go to us within this industry for the fan engagement. So the brands now are very specific on which industry they want their fan engagement. If you rewind probably just 18 months ago, so where we're talking about the industry is a fast-paced moving industry. 18 months ago, they were just asking us for a flatline fan engagement. They were just asking for flatline statistics, data behind the players' profiles. But now they're a lot more wiser. They're a lot more. They want value for money, right? So their KPIs are very much targeted at their industry. So say, for example, we're doing a campaign with Burberry. Burberry want the fashion market. They do not want the sports market. So if you're working with a footballer that is influential in fashion, they want the fashion market. They want the exact data and statistics around that. So our sole objective when we're working with a player who may or may not have the ability to work within the fashion markets is we're targeting that market. So we'll use media influencers and kind of people in and around that space, right? So if we're looking at the importance of fan engagement, it's crucial because without fan engagement on the player side, you cannot commercialize yourself. So whether that's for commercial gains, i.e. sponsorship deals, or whether you're doing it for charity causes, social causes, whatever it may be, if you do not hold an influence on that fan engagement, your profile is basically irrelevant. So again, later on today, I'll talk about 1% versus 99%. the top 1% that can actually engage with fans correctly, they're the ones that hold the influence. The other 99%, you'll all forget about them after they retire. But it will only be the 1% that actually hold on to it. But again, I'll go into that later on.
Thank you. Ehsen, Shah, be engaged.
Well, if you're asking why you need fan engagement, I think, as you guys already said, you can look at it in multiple levels, whether it be social, to create communities, or to bind together communities, and to extend your audiences to create a larger community, to look at it from a global perspective, talking about leagues or media rights holders. That's the perspective I'm more inclined to. Then you want to use fan engagement to create a global brand, basically. And of course, with that comes multiple, numerous new and innovative new ways of commercializing that. And that's touching our panel subject, basically, with personalization. You want
Our customers think or they see us as the valuation company in the social media because it's key to negotiate, to improve your income in sponsorship, etc. And I keep on telling them, also because of my personal private experience in my sponsorship, that everything starts in the content. I mean, and afterwards, I forget to put it afterwards to show you very briefly what we do in a small video, but we keep on watching that everything starts in the content. So it's good to have good content, it's good to have that content good broadcasted, and then it's going to be so easy to get the metrics, to use it, not only to enlarge your community, but to get new assets, to get new opportunities, to go to new territories, etc. As I said, we do see the fan engagement from an analytical point of view, and I think it's key, and sometimes I don't know whether the next evolution on that will be the fan commitment, you know, because we all want to rise fan engagement and it's all over the place, but what is the fan loyalty or even the commitment, which will be the new era into that? Thanks.
Thank you. So was Pablo Pintado from Blinkfire Analytics.
At Smart Replay, we work a lot with sports clubs, especially football clubs like Roma and Monaco. And you can clearly see when you discuss with them and when you do business with them that fan engagement is at the heart of what they're doing every day on a daily basis. They cannot do anything without thinking about engaging fan for mainly two reasons. The first reason is that the competition is now off the pitch. So every week you have one match or two matches, but 24/7 the competition is on Twitter, is on Facebook. It's which club will be the loudest on social networks, will have the most shares. And that's how, like Galit said, that's how you value your brand, that's how you expand your reach, that's how you reach out to more potential fans and customers. Because at the end of the day, and this is my second point, the purpose of fan engagement is to drive direct revenue. You're going to want your fans to consume your content, to follow your brand, to preach for your brand, and then to interact with your content. Why? Because you want them to buy tickets, you want them to buy shirts, you want them to buy scarves, and you want them to even, more than that, buy subscriptions to a premium service. So fan engagement is the philosophy that's at the core of revenue generation, whether you're looking for expanding your reach or expanding or increasing your conversion rates to transform fans into buyers.
Thank you.
May I add something? Because Yacine said something interesting, I think. If we could set up kind of a parallelism between what happened into the stadiums 10 years ago, maybe the exception, of course, of the States, and started in England, is together with the fan engagement. So in the stadiums, there used to be a place open 20, maybe maximum 30 times per year, 30 days per year for the matches. And now all of them are turning into being events management, big congresses, all type of things, weddings, whatever you can imagine in your mind is going to be happening in stadiums, so being to live attractions and leisure park, I would say. So kind of the fan engagement in the different platforms could be compared to that. I mean, the fan engagement before was happening on the weekends or the match day, and now thanks to the different media platforms and to the different possibilities we have, it's becoming a daily thing in order to get whatever we might require from the fans.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo, because you helped me to make the next question. So, which are the best practices that we use for the fan engagement, both offline or online, in your opinion? Thank you.
Galit, please.
Thank you. Let's do that like that. Well, I think, as I see it, one of the most central things in this day of age, and I can only speak about online because that's my more line of expertise, is personalization. You have to get to know your fan. Not all the fans want to be watching the same content, even if they root for the same team. It can be by a player, by team, of course. Their preferences might differ based on location, even. If you're looking at like global leagues, such as the NBA, for example, or FIBA, you have to tailor the exact content to engage the fan, to create the virality aspect of it, and to, of course, get more tune-ins, sell more shirts, and so on and so forth. You should really get to know who you're talking to and try to target specific needs and preferences.
Yeah, like Galit said, there's a huge thing right now about localization, getting closer to your local audiences, and you can see it everywhere. For example, every football club has now, I don't know, like 10 or 12 Twitter accounts in different languages with special content. In stadiums, you now have on some matches localized, geo-targeted advertising. You know, on LED panels, you have different panels according to the region where it's broadcast. So yeah, the best practice would be to try and localize every single aspect of your communications, of your content, and of your sales strategy.
And speaking of localization, what I would like to add is that you need to provide actually the opportunity for the fans to follow you wherever they go. So either they are enjoying a match, sitting comfortable in their couch, watching a Premier League game, for instance, on Eurosport, or they're on the go and actually they don't want to miss their favorite, I don't know, Simona Halep playing for the finals of Roland Garros, for instance. Well, I watch it somewhere in a holiday on a beach, and I was enjoying it on Eurosport Player, for instance, and it works very good. And actually, not only that it works, but it drives other people to actually do likewise. I was very surprised to find my father watching a football game with him that, why don't you open your app to, let's see what's happening, also the highlights behind of that match. And it was super surprising because my father is almost 60. And it obviously drives fans to get to know more about that sport, and the core fans obviously are using this already. So speaking of localization as well, Eurosport, for instance, started as a pan-regional company, delivering sports to Europe. And now in every single country we have local commentators, of course, bringing experts from Romania, for instance, here, and having them delivering the messages to the audience in Romania, not only on TV, but we're actually based up outside, not only seeing something, let's say, somewhere up in a global environment, which is, it's not so easy to relate to. When it's localized, it's easier to relate to, although the big athletes also are internationals.
I think taking away from the localization aspects of it and personalizing for the athletes. So say you're working with an athlete that has different passion points, right? We'll use American sports as an example. What we tend to do is, it's not rocket science, partner up with people. For some reason in sport, people are too afraid to partner up with others. So with the NBA in the UK who have a good relationship with their marketing team to understand, look, what type of content works? Why does this work? How do we need to be doing it? Why do we need to be doing it like this? So anytime they ask us for content to say, can your athletes please post this to promote the London Games, or can they promote this for NBA Sundays or something like that, right? We go, what type of content works? They then feed us back and send us the exact look and feel of what works. Now, we're not specialists on American sports. For me, American sports is way ahead of where we are in the UK in terms of commercializing and marketing athletes, right? But what we tend to do is personalize everything. So if we're targeting, say, esports as an industry, partner up with people that know esports. I don't know esports. No one in my organization knows esports. They know traditional sports, right? So partner up with people that tend to are specialists in this field. Same way with fashion, we partner up with creative directors, fashion directors, magazines. Know what that market wants to see, because unless you know what that market wants to see, you're guessing. And once you're guessing, you then start questioning why isn't that working, then you kind of drop a strategy. And the strategy isn't going to happen overnight, right? So for us, it's all about understanding who is the specialist within those industries. And if you're working with organizations, franchises, clubs, brands, whoever, that are in those industries, speak to them, get to know them, and get to know what they understand. For us with the NBA, it was a no-brainer. But for me, I'll answer in the next question later on. They're miles ahead of everyone else when it comes to fan engagement in sport. By far better than Premier League, any brands, any clubs, any players. So it'd be stupid for us not to ask them what content works for you guys in the UK and why. Let us replicate that and help promote your brand, but also we can be showcasing a passion point for one of our players.
Thank you.
For my answer, I would suggest we can play the video we prepared, because there are actually good and not as good examples on online activation. So it would be great if we can please play it.
Okay.
The Blink Fire one.
Blinkfire Analytics uses computer vision technology to recognize brands, logos, and images, and, as you can see here, in video. Moving from FC Barcelona video, let's take a quick look at Bose in the NFL. Despite no mention of Bose in the text of these posts, the Seahawks Instagram is driving exposure for Bose through Pete's mouthpiece, his earpiece, and also Russell's earphones. These are otherwise physical, offline sponsorships that only Blinkfire can quantify on the social web. These 3 posts alone drove over $50,000 in earned media value for Bose through their sponsorship based on our baseline media evaluation. Leagues, teams, and brands can also customize their CPEs as they know their social strategies best. Bringing it back to the fan experience, this is sponsorship revenue that can enhance TV revenue today. One day, online sponsorship could even replace the need for TV commercials altogether, fundamentally enhancing fans' enjoyments of live broadcasts at home, making even the hard-to-please millennials happy. The Los Angeles Dodgers, with posts like these, drove over 2 million brand engagements, not impressions, engagements, earning in excess of 1 million in media for Budweiser through just 38 regular season posts. If the Dodgers offered Bud an industry standard 3 to 5 times ROI, Budweiser would have paid $250,000 to over $300,000 for this execution last year. Using other parts of Blinkfire, I know the Dodgers Instagram account is growing over 10% quarter over quarter, or nearly 50% year over year, which means next year a similar execution could reach $1.5 million in earned media, driving the sponsorship opportunity to between $300,000 and $500,000. These fan-driven engagements will allow leagues and teams the ability to offer fans at home a less interruptive, more enjoyable experience by decreasing the reliance of leagues, teams, and broadcasters on TV commercial revenue.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is not a question, it's just an ask, and I want to give for us and for the public one of the best examples in the companies that you were engaged, the best campaigns that you were engaged, and a little bit more specific. And if it's possible to say some subjective thoughts about this. So your opinion now, what can be done for a market like Eastern European market?
One of the best examples I've came across is from one of our partners, which is AS Roma. the Serie A football club. And in terms of fan engagement, even though if on the pitch they're not really that good this season, off the pitch they really are leaders on Twitter, on Facebook. They don't have that much followers, but every time they post something, it hits like records in terms of shares and follows. And what I really do like about AS Roma is that they've got their leaders in two things. First, social. On social, what makes them so special is that they really, embody their content. Their content, their tweets are personified. On many football clubs' Twitter accounts, you have the impression that it's a corporate account, that a robot is talking to you. Whereas Roma's big success is that when they tweet something, you really feel like it's a person talking to you, making jokes, picking fights with other clubs, and that's why it works so well. And the other thing about AS Roma is that in their DNA, they really have this open-minded culture about digital transformation. Let's say that, they've realized that they needed to be one step ahead of other clubs in terms of innovation. So instead of looking for internalizing every aspect, like technology, content creation, reporting, analytics, they have an open-minded culture, so they often set up partnerships with tech companies, with startups, with big movie companies to set up projects very, very often. So I think the big advice from the case study of AS Roma is to, if you can in your sports organization, your sports clubs, implement a digital culture of openness, of creating partnerships really often. It can only do good things for your business.
Just wanted to talk after him because we also work with AS Rome, and I can totally subscribe what he said. We keep on tracking, analyzing them, and they are heroes for us. I mean, when we see the content is one of the examples that we keep on transmitting to our customers. The way how they activate, the way how they engage, the way how to differentiate. We have similar examples in Spain, for example, with very small teams, because at the end of the day, it's very easy to speak about the Madrid and Barcelona, but I think we have to be creative and try to get that engagement and that value without spending $20 million on that. And I think that's a very good example from our perspective. I really come back to the point of the content at the end of the day, and just very silly things that nowadays they look obvious, but 2.5 years ago we remember with a big club in Madrid, not Real Madrid, the other one, I don't want to say the name. At the beginning of the season, you know, with the typical pictures to introduce every single player. So the pictures were taken, I'm not lying, like this. So, I mean, it's so great for the main sponsor not to be spotted. And all of a sudden they have to change that. I mean, now it seems obvious, but there were so many teams taking pictures that way to the players when they were presented in social media, and kind of the same story, just to finalize with my answer, was with the sleeve sponsor. So we keep still on watching, presenting pictures, front pictures taken. And it's not that the quality of the picture is not good, which is absolutely great because a professional photographer is taking them. It's like you really have to focus on the content and what's going to be the final goal of that particular picture. And something as simple as just to turn a little bit downside to the other side is going to give you the exposure. So it's not rocket science at the end of the day. It's just to focus on the content.
Thank you.
I think that one of the best activations that I saw, I have to start by saying that WSC is really honored and blessed to have a really great partner. We we're working with the NBA, which is one of the most innovative leagues in the world. And a couple of seasons ago, we've together created the Facebook Messenger video bot, which enables fans to basically ask for and instantly get the content that they want, taking personalization to a completely different realm and taking it all from video on demand to video on command, basically. So that enables each and every fan to just, start a chat with the Facebook page of the NBA and tell the bot with what's the content you're interested in, and get that directly to you. So that's one amazing activation.
Thanks.
From the player side of things, it's easy to look at the big players, right, and how they do fan engagement. You can look at LeBron James, you can look at Serena Williams, you can look at anyone. But I'll give you two names that you've probably never heard of. In the UK, there's two players, one Akinfenwa and the other one David Myler. So David Myler owns YouTube when it comes to football. He's got 370,000 subscribers, and you've probably never heard of him as a footballer. In all honesty, I don't really know him as a footballer. I think he played for Hull City for like 2 years or something. After that, don't know what his CV is. But what he's done is he's owned that YouTube space when it comes to FIFA gaming. So he's kind of owning that esports space when it comes to football. Likewise with Akinfenwa, he's engaged with fans on a whole different level through his personality, through the fact that he's a very big guy. He's known as the Beast in the UK. Brands latch onto him, fans latch onto him, and they've both got over millions and millions of followers based on their personality, not necessarily their talent, because one plays in probably the 4th division in the UK, the other one, I don't even know whether he's still playing football or not. But then if I bring it back to an activation that we've worked on, so with one of our clients, Hector Bellerin, he played in an away game last season in the Premier League, and he saw this little girl have a little poster. It's quite common nowadays. Please, Bellerin, can I have your shirt with like loads of hearts on it? He actually saw that in the stadium, but by the time that the game finished and he wanted to go give the shirt, the parents had taken the child home. It was an away match, it was late in the evening, so I can understand why they probably wanted to go home and miss the traffic, right? So we came in on the next day, found the image on Getty Sports, got it from Getty, posted it onto Twitter, and kind of handed it over to the fans to find the parents of the child. Arsenal got involved, Arsenal contacted us to say they're not on our database, she's not Junior Gunners, so let's promote this across social media. I think probably after about 2 hours, the father actually emailed me, said, I'm the father of so-and-so, kind of did some due diligence, found out that he was the father. What we ended up then doing was doing an entire video campaign around him going to the child's house, surprising both the kids, so there was 2 kids there, brother and a sister, surprising the kids, and if you go onto YouTube, it was trending at number 4 or 5 in the world at the time. I think it's got, I can't remember how many views it's got, but Arsenal promoted it, we promoted it, everything like that, right? So that went down as a very good fan engagement execution. We've taken an offline matter in-game, brought it online, got the entire Twitter kind of community involved in it, found the parents, found the child, went to the house, and I think we were there for about 2.5 hours because he just wouldn't stop playing Nintendo Wii with them. He was talking to them, playing Nintendo Wii. They had Uno cards, they were playing Uno together. To be honest, it was about 40, you could have made a film out of it, but I was like, no, it has to be like a 1:30 video. So there's different aspects that you can bring offline to online and not just always stay online when it comes to especially player fan engagement. But if you look across the world, there's so many players doing it well. I mean, most of them are high profile, like we said, it's a lot easier to do it when you are high profile. But there's also so many low profile players that are owning a set industry. So where I said, know the target industries that you want to go for, because talent isn't enough, football isn't enough anymore, or whatever your sport might be. Use off the field matters, because that's what fans want nowadays. And whatever you do last week, they want something new the next week. So you can't replicate what you did last week. It always has to be something new or something better. So clubs have that. That's the biggest problem for clubs all the time. They're always asking us, can we do this, can we do that? Yeah, you could, but it's too risky. So for us, we need to minimise the risk, but also maximise the fan engagement from our perspective on the player side anyway.
And that sounds very passionate, what you have just said. I mean, having the players connect with the fans directly. We at Eurosport actually, obviously, we are connected our fans with the content, so with the athletes, with the sports, with the content. But also, my job at Eurosport, it's a little bit different. My job is related to finding brand partnerships. So in order to be able to provide the quality content and to provide the fans the content they want and to see the idols and the athletes, we are putting together brands, advertisers, and we create opportunities for the advertisers to integrate within the sports and with the Eurosport broadcast in a way that it becomes naturally and makes sense and also drives further passion on the level to the fan base. I mean, even having the fans getting to be in touch with the product itself. So I was super amazed. I think 3 weeks ago I was in Istanbul visiting Galatasaray. It was for the first time I was visiting that stadium. And I met with the guys there, with their marketing director, and they told me what they are doing and what's happening. And I was super surprised to hear that even their merchandise, for instance, they're in a Super League at Nike. They're selling even more T-shirts than some Premier League teams, and I was surprised to hear that. And I asked them, how do you do that? And he said, we are looking for any opportunity to please our fans and to be in touch with our fans. And actually, I thought that that's a very smart thing to say, because actually this is what we're also trying to do through the various streams of sports we offer to our audience. And when I say brand partnership, I'm not just talking about having a sponsor on a wall or on a billboard before a match. I'm talking about creating opportunities for the audience and for the athletes also to be in touch with the brands and to actually naturally connect within a 360 environment. Because it's not only about TV or digital, it's actually about the sports. We either like it or not. And if we like it, we are passionate about it and we want to see it all over the place. So it's building such partnerships that actually takes you through the 360 media funnel and let the people connect with it. I would refer to the Olympics. Again, when it comes to how we did that, it's about technology and it's about the approach of the 360 into something which obviously all of us were passionate about it. And the openings and the ceremony are, I think, one of the best ratings programs all over the world. Now, beyond what we're seeing on TV, perhaps you're a fan of a particular sport. Perhaps you're only into aquatics, or perhaps you're only into judo, or perhaps you're, I don't know, you have a favorite sport. Offering to the large audience the possibility to follow a specific sport from all the angles, from all the hours that were involved in that competition, it's something we are keen to offer. Of course, we also have commentators, specialists, providing highlights to the large audiences. But if somebody wants to be seeing everything, they can have that. Also, speaking of technology, VR. Some years ago it was science fiction. Nowadays it's part of our reality. I mean, we offer the seat that actually doesn't exist. So basically, whether you're not or you wanna be at the, I don't know, tennis event, one day you can be there. You can actually watch live a game in VR, or you can actually experience a downhill like a pro in a ski. So such things actually increase the level of engagement and also offers, coming back to my job, offers the sponsors and the advertisers opportunity to connect even with the athletes, like Ehsen's job is, or also with the large audience like we all know.
Thank you, Dan.
Can I just add something to this? It taps into that 360 strategy, as well as starting off cheap. You can use user-generated content. You can ask your fans to create content that's connected somehow to your sport. Create campaigns like that started off extremely cheap, and it gets so viral. It gets such great exposure and so much engagement from your audiences that I think that's a great way to start.
I think she wants a job on the Eurosport meeting.
We are always looking for valuable people.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, excellent. I think for the public now, you have some ideas about what these guys are working with. And for the next 13 minutes, I'm going to put a question about ourselves, about our personal life, sport life in Romania. So, can you give a tip for start cheap? Because Romania is not so investing, don't have so much money investing in your kind of companies. You are coming from a big economies, so we are trying. We are on our way. So if you can give a tip about what we have to do to start a bit cheap to come.
I just did.
Okay, I just have the mic. I don't know the tip. I'm not the person to give tips. I would say that we in Spain we're bankrupt almost. So
sorry, these guys were paying for you, so they need a tip.
So I think it's same thing. I mean, it's a matter of talent. It's a matter of, and talent is all over the place, everywhere in the world. And it's a matter of creating content. It's a matter of making this content interesting. Then for the properties, for the brands, who are the ones that are going to be paying the bill, to be attracted by it. To try to feel immersed or identify ourselves with sport, with the sport values. I think that's key. And Romania has, as far as I know, as a sport fan in many kind of sports, a long history. For instance, in rugby and many others.
Tennis, soccer,
basketball. So you have many years ago won the Champions League. I mean, it used to be the European Cup. But I think the tradition is there. It's just to put it on value. And it's again. Sorry to repeat, but I keep on watching that every day in every single team. We are honored to work with many all over the world, and content. And I see very small properties doing very well in comparison to the big giants. So that would be mine.
Thank you.
I think what's interesting about our conversation since a bit less than an hour is that you can clearly see that we've been talking a lot about content, and that's at the heart of what you need to do. And the good thing is you don't need to have professional cameras and a team of 8 journalists to produce content on a daily basis. So if I had to give a few cheap tips for a Romanian sports club or sports organization, I'd say 3 things that don't cost that much money. You can note down if you want, like I'm a doctor. But I mean, first you have to be, well, the philosophy is to create a fan engagement funnel. So this is, you know what a funnel is. So you need to create that funnel with different steps inside the funnel. So there is social networks where you will recruit fans, turn them into marketers for your brand, so they're going to preach for you on social. Then you've got to convert them on your website, where you also need to have content, you have a community, and then from your website you need to convert them into your store or ticket place. So 3 things you need to do is 1, be creative on social. It doesn't cost much, just for your imagination. 2 is to produce content on a daily basis to keep your audience engaged, keep them entertained, and keep them wanting to preach for your brand. And to produce content, I mean, you just need a bit of imagination and a smartphone. You don't need professional cameras. You can do a lot of things with an iPhone, for example, exclusive interview of this player, or training sessions, or what happens inside the head of the coach during a match, stuff like that. And then you need to have on your website a part with more like a match hub, with a bit long-form content, data about matches that fans will look for on your website. so that they can be next to your store or your ticket place. So that's really a funnel with three steps: social, website and apps, and then they convert to your revenue streams. Yeah, that's it.
I guess what we do in the UK is probably no different to what you guys could do here in Romania, to be honest with you. It's like, I'll echo what the guys have said. Using a phone is the most engaging thing. So down the camera content. So Instagram stories, for example, highest engaging platform for us. You can go onto Twitter and post out text. Unless that text is one of those viral bits of content which is going to absolutely bang on Twitter. You can do that here as well. There's no special recipe to doing what people are doing in the US, UK, Spain, or even Romania. It's very simple, especially on the athlete side. Just get the personality out there. The best way to do that is organic content down the phone. So seriously, it's really not that hard. It's so simple. You can, as long as you have confidence in an athlete that they can do it, then encourage them and kind of embrace their personality. Don't pigeonhole them into trying to do something that you think is a bit more commercial. Just let them run free with it, because the more mistakes you make, the more you learn. So setting up to fail sometimes is a good way to start. It sounds stupid, but with athletes, it always is the best way, because the more mistakes they make, the more they understand themselves. And as an athlete, because they're so in a bubble compared to the rest of the world, they need to make these mistakes, because unless they do, they don't find themselves. So you as a brand manager, you need to really push them to make mistakes and learn more about themselves before they understand what they want, because some of them think they want something, then when they get it, they're like, oh no, actually I don't want this because I don't like it this way, or I don't like this exposure. And that's too far down the line. Make the mistakes early, because the more you can do that down the camera, the more you're going to learn, okay, that works, that doesn't work, this works, and that works. So honestly, it's so simple when it's on athlete side. I understand on club side it's a bit different, or brand side it's a bit different, but player side it's very, very simple.
I would simply add on everything was said that you need to use the research you're having, and your first research you're having, it's actually your talents. So basically you're a sportsman. Not even only the sportsman, I mean the coach, the team, I mean everybody can tip in, can be part of it, because what people relate to easier is that actually, besides the fact that your athletes are superheroes, I mean they're watched from everybody, they're appreciated, and sometimes they are not so well profiled, because what we hear on the news channels perhaps always is only about football, but there's other sports besides football. We know all it. I mean, it's tennis, it's snooker, it's gymnastics. There are several disciplines which I think they are neglected in this moment, and you need to push the talents and to create stories, to have people relate to actually your stars, and to actually offer the possibility of the broadcasters, or use the social media platforms to begin with, but offer also a partnership to other broadcasters actually to line up with you in order to create stories that will reach the world. So yeah, use your first research, which is your talent.
Minutes is for the public, for the audience. If you have questions, if you have ideas, or want personal questions for our friends, please.
Come on.
They have free words.
It's public engagement.
On the meantime, there is question. Just one thing regarding what Ehsen said, very interesting one as an insight, if it might be helpful for you guys. 2 years ago, the most engaging platform in sports marketing was Facebook. That's over. Totally over. I mean, that if you were to say 2 years ago that the most engaging platform by far would be Instagram, everybody would say you are crazy. Totally crazy. Why Instagram? There are not that many people using Instagram. Everybody has Facebook. So that's for you to know that when it comes to sponsorship, go into Instagram. When it comes to communications, maybe tap into Twitter. When it comes to kind of policy or philosophy or image of your particular athlete or property, then might go into Facebook. Just as a lesson learned that we keep on observing for you guys.
So next year we're going to be on Instagram, our panel again.
Okay, I have one question, please. Thank you for all the knowledge. I
I was just thinking, seeing through all the digital solutions we're using in sports, I noticed that it's kind of what a very mature behavior on social media. The newer generation are starting digital with really early age. How do you approach the younger generation? I think families with children, that's a very big segment of the market. Do you have any examples on how to approach it, how to use digital media for content that goes for, I don't know, children, let's say?
Okay, I have one, a content that is working very well in Teams, and we keep on watching that is generating is becoming a new asset, digital asset, is birthdays. Birthdays of the players, because kids love that. I mean, they get engaged, for instance, in Valencia, they got a big sponsor, a German company making sweets, and they only sponsor now. They used to be in the premium category of sponsorship of the club. They were downgraded in terms of the money, which is, I think, great for them, because they are spending less money but getting a lot of exposure, so much engagement, particularly because of the posting of all players' birthdays, because they are getting sponsored by them. And I mean, most of the target that the club is trying to get with that particular content, with those particular posts, are especially kids.
And there's also all kind of things for, so I think Juventus or Inter did something about Mother's Day, so yeah, maybe around, you know, that kind of events, Christmas, Mother's Days, birthdays and so.
I think storylines is the answer here. Trying to engage not only on the actual sport action, but more of the story behind it. Yeah, to open the hearts of people.
Final question, one last question, anybody out there? Yes, no? Don't be shy. Do I see any hands? No, yes, no, yes, no? Okay then, all right. I don't have to be Oprah and run out there and grab somebody. Let's say a special thank you to our international panel of experts, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Like a conclusion for our friends, I want to say that it's not about engagement, only the fans, because who are the fans are the relatives, the kids, and the parents of the future sports champions. So, of course, we have to go to all the platforms, all digital and all the tools, to bring again the people on the sport, because we're going to grow up, us, the coaches and the clubs and the federations, they need information about the champion, how you make the champions. And these guys are working hard for demonstrate and for show how hard or how easy it is to build a champion. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.